You have an incoming transmission. Will you accept?
Transmission. To whoever it may concern. Stardate. I don't fucking know anymore. It's been 4 years since we've last spoken. Since we've last seen each other. I've been through some changes. I've done some growing up since we've been apart. Luckily, after our little encounter with the hostage situation, I was able to get a proper cybernetic prosthetic for my hand. Those amateurs had no idea how to hook it up, so I, of course, made my own adjustments. Now, she's as good as new. Can't trust anybody to do things when I can do them so much better myself. I found a home. And that's something I never thought I'd be able to say. Especially a home where I don't have to keep running. I don't have to keep running. A home where I don't have to just hide. But I can be. And along with it, I found an old time capsule. It was sent to me after the space inspectors of that quadrant found bits and pieces of, well, what was left of our dear old Spice Princess. Inside that box, there wasn't much. The one thing, though, that managed to stay intact, bizarrely after all these years, was a dress. And a little flower. That dress. It was from the time when, I can't remember who, but someone basically sold me and I had to marry some rich snob. I remember receiving it and thinking, there's no way this guy knows my measurements just by looking at me. That's crazy, right? That's completely bananas, right? Nope, spot on. I was looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, yes, everything would be perfect had it have been someone else. I remember you came into the room. You wrapped me in your coat and told me that if I said the word, you'd take me far away from this place. You'd figure out a way to keep me safe. No matter what happened. All I had to do was just ask. But I knew that if we left, we'd just continue to keep running. Forever. I was scared. I never thought that I'd be done running. I still don't feel like I am. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, just like before. Strange how everything just seems to work out for us and our little crew. Basically, everyone was dead. After a gas or toxin had filled the room. I had just arrived, and when I opened the door, everyone was dead. So, we ran. We took what we could, and we made it last. Can't believe that I still kept the stress. Of course, it had to be the one thing that survived. It couldn't have been anybody else. Couldn't have been any easier for us. It was as if someone out there was just constantly trying to get us. Constantly trying to impede us. I remember I fell in love with the engineer. A big, strong, burly type, of course. After we picked him up in this pathetic little cafe he was running, I couldn't help but fall. The things he said to me were so sweet, unlike anything I'd ever heard. For the longest time, up until that point, I'd been hoping that you would be the one to say those things to me. But I just never heard them. Maybe you were too scared. Maybe you just didn't want to get in the way. Or maybe I should have said something. After all these years, would it even be fair of me to ask if you're still thinking of me? After everything that we've been through, am I still in your mind? After the explosion at the hospital, when the space inspectors found us adrift in those cryo tubes, I thought you were dead. I was so sure that whole building came down. All 18 floors of it, and you were on the first. I thought you were dead. I was taken under the cover of the smoke, sequestered, used, and then dumped somewhere. Alone. I was by myself, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Again. I was so scared. But I was so sure that I was never going to see you again. That I was never going to hear your voice again. This daisy that the stupid engineer gave me. This flower that survived that stupid wreckage. It means nothing to me. Not after what he did. He betrayed me in the worst way possible. He took advantage. I remember coming into your room and waking you up. I just needed someone to talk to. I was so scared. You held me and comforted me. I'm such an idiot. It shouldn't have never happened in the first place. It was never the right guy. It was never him. It was never that engineer. It was always you. Every single time. It was always you. Even when I was with him, it was always you. But I was scared. Especially for the rest of the crew. But you didn't care. You took care of me. You even faced him. Threatened it. Such an idiot. Out in that desert by myself, I had plenty of time to think about everything that had happened to us. So I picked myself up, and I started anew, just like I always do. I found parts, and I built a ship. It wasn't anything special. And again, mine never are. And I began flying. I was able to build a big enough ship to accommodate cargo shipments, so started moving cargo for a company independently until I eventually started getting sought out. I thought I could actually turn this into an empire. I could actually make something of this. So I expanded. And we grew. And I grew. So much so that I saw you in the news the other day. You were in the background of that bar we met in all those many years ago, when you wanted nothing to do with a prissy little noble like me. I was too good for you back then. I'm still too good for you. You turned your nose up to me. You would have none of it. Prissy little noble, you continued to call me. Through everything I said, I kept telling you I was only trying to offer you a job. You would have none of it. So I said fine. I convinced your partner instead, and of course he was on board. Literally, he got aboard the ship the second I offered the job. He thought you were an idiot for not accepting it, mainly out of your stubbornness. You still are quite stubborn. You look like you're still quite stubborn. But I couldn't believe it. It was you. Someone that I never thought I'd ever see or hear from again. I don't know if this transmission will ever even reach you. Hell, it may be intercepted by the greater powers that be. But I want you to know that it's always been you. It's always been us in the sky, side by side. And it's never going to change. No matter how long, no matter how many miles between us, it'll always be you. Sincerely yours. Or at least was once yours. Sabrina Von Destelli, chairwoman of Spice Princess Shipping International. End transmission.